Pledge.
Thank you, sir. Next item is adoption of agenda.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, there's one correction I want to make on item number, I believe, 5 on the public hearing notice. In the packet, it states that it was for 23-24.
Oh, okay.
It is for 22-23. So just to make a note of that, it's for the 22-23 appropriation limit.
Gotcha. Then
I move that
that's-
we approve the agenda with the correction.
Call roll, please.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right. Public communication, oh, wait, excuse me. Presentation, I guess, presentation of the digital budget book. Is that first? Ruth?
Good evening, Mayor Pittman, council members. We've been working hard on getting our budget book digital. So I want to present to you tonight the work that we have done so far. I want to let you know that it's not live. What we built in here is 23-24 budget. That's our current budget. And we wanted to get this one all built so that we can put the 24-25 budget together and present that to you with the next budget that we're working on right now. So I just want to show you what we try to do is make it as close to our current budget as we could. So page by page, we try to make it that way. So it's not live, but when it is live, you will go to this home page and you'll see this is our cover. And then you go over here to introduction. I'm not sure if you can see well, but there's all these drop-down menu options. And so if you go to introduction, you can go to see the transmittal letter that was in the budget last year. This will be the I don't know what's going on with the internet, but
Yeah,
nothing's coming up.
can't connect.
Well, the plan was to show you the budget, but nothing is coming up. I wonder if I disconnect from,
I tried that as well.
It's-
I'm having challenges.
okay.
I just reached out to Tyson.
Yours is
So
going in and
you
out
would,
too.
if you were to look in there, you would see page by page, all of the budget that you would see in paper, you're gonna see on the online version, and we'll hopefully roll it out with the 24-25 budget. So maybe I can show it to you at that time.
So does this
Maybe
mean
we
I-
can move on to another item. We'll text IT and see if we can figure out what's going on and come
Okay.
back to it, if that works.
Oh,
Does this mean
I'm
our live
texting
stream
right now.
is down as well?
All right.
Would you like to drive down here, or would you like to wait until
Oh, it's
we're-
working on your side?
It seems to be.
Okay.
Stand by.
Technical difficulties. Hopefully Tyson will come right through.
Yep, walk
There he
with that.
is.
Ah, thank you, Tyson.
All right.
Thank
Okay,
you,
yeah,
Tyson.
It won't work. Some permissions.
Yes. No, please.
Yep. You all right?
So where were you going?
Oh, wait. It's different than.
Okay, it should work now.
For the record, City Hall was just rewired the last 2 weeks. I'm not sure if that's anything to do with that.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
So,
Oh,
That's all right, cool.
Is everybody else having?
Pop
We're good.
goes the
No.
weasel. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much.
You're in your own lane.
Okay, so if you go to introduction and look at the drop downs, you should see all the pages that you would see in our paper copy. So the first page is transmittal letter, and you can see the letter that Brian wrote almost a year ago. And then the next page would be highlights. I kind of just put that in. We don't have that in the paper copy, but there was an option for it, so I put it in. Organization chart. I know we've made a lot of changes since then, but this is last year, so. Mission statement. History of the city. And this is a cool feature of this software, is that it provides you with all the demographics of your area. So you can see the household analysis. 35% of our households are 30% lower than state average. A lot of really good statistics and demographics on this page. This is all built in the system. This is nothing that we do. Economic analysis of our city, housing overview. And the next page, fund structure. A lot of fun stuff. I know everybody's hanging on every word here. Basis of budgeting. It's just basically our budget book in here. It's pretty cool. I even added, wherever there was an opportunity to add things, I added it. It might not be available in our paper copy, but if they had it, I did it. So a cool page for our fund balance policy, our financial policies. It includes all the ones that we work with. And then has all of our funds in there, funding sources, has all of our departments, capital assets. I'm not happy with this page, but I just uploaded our list that we went off last year. It's kind of blurry. Hopefully I can get that resolved. But this is all the things we added in last year's budget. And excited to roll that out to you for the next budget. So, yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. Everything we do is trying to go paperless, so this is one step more. And
One
you
question-
can, if you want the paper, you can print it. There's a little print button over here. It'll print the whole thing out for you.
Ruth, how often is this updated?
Well, it'll just be prepared annually with the budget.
Okay, cool. Any questions? No?
Thank you.
Thank you, nice presentation. Next item is public communication, hearing of non-agenda items. Do we have any cards?
Yes, we do, Mr. Mayor. We'll begin with Bill Spear and follow that with the cameraman.
Okay, Mr. Shearer.
City Council. I was really excited this afternoon when I seen what the verse of the day was. Galatians 6:9, do not grow weary. It says, let us not grow weary. I thought it was just for me, but it's let us not grow weary in doing good. We'll receive a harvest if we do not give up. It's a word in season for you all today. Thank you for your faithful service. And for Ruth, awesome job on, you're a blessing to our city.
Thank you.
It was not growing weary. And the harvest is going paperless, and all the money our city's been saving. And it's because of the scripture fulfilling itself. People continuing in our city, we have such a wonderful city. People continuing to show up. You guys being faithful and laying down your lives and showing up to intercede for our city. And I know there's a lot of attacks, and anytime you're doing something, people are attacking you, but you continue to keep on. So thank you for your service. Thank you all for your service, and not giving up and quitting, because you are valuable and important. So Father God, we thank you, Lord, for your word that went forth this evening, a word in season. I know I needed to hear it, and for whoever else receives it, Lord, I pray that you would encourage them and strengthen them, and Lord, that you are working even in the storms, Lord. You're getting us ready for the spring, the changing of the season, and we thank you for this new season. We thank you for the sowing and planting and plowing and not giving up, that it is changing our city. We focus our minds on the things that are good and praiseworthy, the things that are of good report. We look at the things that you are doing, the blessings that you are doing amongst our community and all of the service groups and all of the nonprofits and all of our police and the fire department. We thank you for the Hope Center and the rescue mission, and there's been a tremendous movement in the rescue mission and the projects going there. And I pray, as they've not grown weary, they worked for years and years and years with hardly nothing, and they didn't give up. And then you brought the provision. And I just pray 100-fold for this year, that you would bless it and anoint, that you would take away every roadblock, that you would encourage and strengthen all their staff. Raise them up as they serve the least of these, and raise us all up. Encourage and strengthen today. We love you. We praise you. We give you all the glory in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. Up next, we have the cameraman, followed by Kelvin.
Good evening, Oroville City Council. It was nice to see you all at the State of City address at the end of April. About a week and a half ago, I received a copy of defendant's expert witness disclosure in my case against the City of Oroville versus John Sanzone. 39-page report, and I must say I'm very disappointed. I'm disappointed that the city is going to continue to allow a law firm to, from what I'm guessing at this point, get as much money out as you guys as possible for a case that they know is not a good case. And what I mean by that is this report by this expert I find it shocking that someone of 38 years of law enforcement experience and 47 years of training couldn't prepare a more elegant report. In my personal opinion, this could be best described as a report made by a drunk, and not drunk on alcohol, but drunk on the euphoria of being a expert of so many years, and not thinking that somebody would double check and maybe question their expertise. I found at least 6 misinterpretations, 1 direct lie, 3 broken English typos, and out of this 39-page report, 12 of the pages the guy talks about himself. So 30% of this report is just about the expert talking about him being an expert. And the other 70% is the, actual incident, at hand. Now, I called Mr. Hubert, left him a message, about how I feel, and my best Boutros impression, if you know who George Boutros is, because he's dealt with experts before, and, I can now truly feel his pain, how he felt when dealing with experts. Now, I talked to him in a way, George would, and I think I'm a lot nicer than, if you've ever received one of his messages before. And I told Scott, to really, 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 really think, is this how we're going to proceed? Because I know as a city, we can do a lot better than this. Because, if you have the funds to send a man to measure a curb, because they have a fixation about vehicle code violations, even though I was never cited for any. To measure a curb, where my vehicle was parked, the guy had to violate the vehicle code himself, because the curb in question is now red and he parked to do his measurement. They have the funds to settle this case. So I think, we need to question how we're going to proceed further, because, this is not, in my opinion, the best interest for the city. And, I know, understanding, I'm the plaintiff in this, but, it's like, come on, guys, I don't want you to be taken advantage of as much as I want this situation resolved. And this is clearly.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Up next, we have Kelvin Ellisary.
Hi.
Council, so,
Okay. Welcome.
hi. I have the property up on Montgomery, the long white fence. You know which one I'm talking about?
Across the railroad tracks?
over the railroad track.
Okay, gotcha.
Anyway, about a year ago, I came and tried to get permits. Well, before that, I came to the city to do my due diligence, find out what I need to do before I got the permits or start building. So I went to Les, and I told him I want to do a glamping type project there. So he said, oh, as long as you get the permits, everything should be good. So going on that, I said, is there anything else I need to know? He didn't say. So I got a trailer, 32-footer, a big 40-foot container to put all my stuff in, and then a tough shed. So I moved everything on there, set it up, and then I came to the city, asked them if I needed anything special for the tough shed. They said no. So I did that. Then I was waiting for the permits, but the gentleman that did my drawing, I paid him $4,000. He never submitted the plans. And I'm developing a new type of solar for to manufacture here in Oroville. So we've been looking for a factory location. So anyway, I've been going back and forth to China, and tonight I'm leaving again for Singapore. So what I'm trying to say is that they never gave me my permits, so now they're trying to kick me off my land. They're telling me take the trailer out of there, everything. So I'm like, I can't just move one day, and then after I get the permits, I can move back on. So it just didn't make sense to me. So I went to the city, back to the city, and Les said, well, I said, what am I gonna do if I move out of the, I'm not living in the trailer, but I stay there when I come. So I said, if I leave, what am I supposed to do? I'm gonna be homeless. I don't have no place to go. My family's all gone. So I said, can I sleep in the car in there? He said, yeah, you can sleep in the car, but don't sleep in the trailer. That didn't make sense to me at all. So I came to see what you guys can do about it, if anything. I just don't want to leave. I'm going to get the permits to build, but I need to stay there. I don't have no place to go.
Well, leave your contact information with the city administrator, and we can go from there.
That's it?
That's it, yeah. That's,
What about they're finding me when I stay there, they're
as
putting
a,
fines
as a
on me.
non-agenda item, we can't go further into your detail. You have to work with city staff.
Oh,
okay.
that's why I talked to Linda Dummeyer before, and she said start here first.
Start here, you contact our city administrator and go from there.
You,
Yep.
Okay.
Give me your contact information, thank you.
today or when?
Oh, right now, yeah.
Leaving, so.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mayor, that's all I had for submitted blue cards. I'm not sure if there's anybody in the audience that would still like to speak.
That's it? I don't see any more. Oh, okay.
Heads up.
Go ahead. Can you give us your name, please? Wait till the mic turns. There you go. You're good.
Can
You're
you
hot
hear
now.
it?
Yep.
Hi, I'm Michael Hunt. I live on the Mitchell Street senior apartments, the new ones, the ones they were built last year, and there's two buildings. I just moved in 6 months ago to the new one. The reason why I'm here, we had a very large meeting last Friday and a couple weeks before that, and I was elected to speak for them.
Okay.
And what I'm discussing is that we have 64 seniors living in this complex. Each one of them have signed a one-year lease, and it was set on their income, Social Security, or whatever was the case. A lot of them are very low income. A lot of them are older women, widows and widowers. And what has transpired, I've been there 6 months. All of a sudden, after 3 months, I get a rent increase. Well, that didn't, kind of surprised me because we signed a lease. And then just about 4 weeks ago, we got another notice for another increase. And so far, it's like a 15% raise. They said it's for PG&E or whatever the case. Well, it's kind of a situation that some of the people that are living there are hurting very badly. Not only that, but the first building that they opened, they did the same exact thing. They raised their rent twice. They're in it for the second year. They raise it again twice. There's a lady, I'll give you a perfect example. She makes $1,320 a month. She's a widow. She started with her rent at $670. They've increased it $305 in a little over a year and a half. She's opens up the letter and starts bawling. This is not just an isolated situation. This is where we had a meeting Friday and it was standing room only. It was a matter of the seniors are caught up in this rent increase and not taking account. Now, I know that we had a couple of your representatives at the meeting. They brought up, we brought up all our things, and I suppose the attorneys are looking into it. But this is not going to be an isolated situation. It's going to be a situation that, what are they going to do? Raise it again next year? And next year, some of these people will be squeezed right out. We're talking about the seniors. It's an ethical thing. It's not right. People are scared. Now, I was just notified of this meeting a couple of hours ago. We could have filled this room, believe me. We could have filled this room and you would have seen all the people. But
Well, Mr. Hunt, we appreciate your message. Councilman Johnstone has a question for clarification,
Okay.
if you might, well, don't mind the question.
yeah, no problem.
Am I not on?
There you go, you're on now. Yep.
I'm on now. It's technical difficulties all day long.
Yeah, I apologize for not getting back to you. I know I talked to Mr. Mayor from the Housing Authority and I were playing phone tag last week, but I know he did get in hold of Amy, and Amy, I know it has, you can correct me where
So
you go ahead.
there are two situations that occurred. Both of those developments, and there are other developments in the city that it may happen to as well, were financed greatly through low-income housing tax credits, and those are state funds, and they are regulated, and they are allowed these utility allowances. The utility allowance increased, and that was the first one that was noticed for an increase. It had to do with the way that the property was developed, with a lower impact as far as the residents were getting lower cost utilities, and so they were able to increase their utility allowance, and so they did do that. The second one was annually. The income limits and also the rent limits are adjusted by HUD, and those were released in April, and those are going to go into effect in July. So unfortunately, with these projects, that is a reality that could occur every single year if the rent limits go up and the income limits change. The only ones that are not affected for a year lease are Section 8 vouchers, because those are people that have 30% or less of area median income. But the rest of them are subject to increases annually if they do occur.
I appreciate that. No, I mean, that is just not okay. That's not
And
okay with me.
It's not just this area, it's up and down the state. That's
Okay, but why is the city of Oroville doing business with these companies then and giving them incentives to develop here these low-income housing, knowing that these people are low income and they don't get, rate increases, they don't get, drastic increases every year. They're going to become homeless at some point. They pay their own PG&E bills, right? Don't you pay your own PG&E bills?
Yes.
So where's the, I would like to see, if you guys could look for me, I would like to see what the thresholds are. What are the thresholds that cause these increases or allows for these increases? Mm-hmm. And are they acting in good faith? Mm-hmm. I mean, these are our people. These are our constituents. These are our senior citizens and our low-income people that we need to support and take care of. So is this a good faith? And regardless if it's legal or not, is it in good faith? They can justify it all day long, but why are we allowing companies like this to do business in the city of Oroville when we have, just like what Ruth showed, 37% of our population is on the lower income? I mean, we need to incentivize market rate housing and other kinds of incentives, right? But why are we penalizing the least of these? That's very,
I
very
do
not
understand
okay
your
with me.
concern, and I have them as well. But I do want to point out that these units are lower than market rate units that are out there. So when we have an affordable developer that wants to come, we need the affordable housing, and these wouldn't be available if we didn't build them. There would be doubling up. People would be, there would have other options or be homeless because these are far below the market rates of rents.
I hear you, and please, I'm not attacking you. I apologize. It's just I'm very heated about this situation because that's exactly what's going to happen if they keep raising the rates and they keep, PG&E is going to continue to go up. So they're paying their PG&E, but yet they're paying it on the lower side. So because of that, they're able to raise their rates continually twice a year over the 10%, which it's my understanding. I don't know all about HUD, so can you look into it and see
Yes.
if there's anything that we can do to help them?
And Councilman Weber also has a question, if he may ask. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to note that Councilmember Johnstone and myself attended that meeting that was held on Friday, and you're right, it was standing room only, and there was it was very impassioned. Councilmember Johnstone is in possession of 25 letters that were written by the tenants of that apartment complex and stating their rent decreases when they leased, how much their lease was, how much the rent increases have increased by, and by percentages, and also the hardships that this has created for them. We stood there for an hour and a half and listened to their concerns and watched, quite frankly, the fear on their faces. They were discussing that, hey, times were already hard enough as it was, and then now with these increases, we're having to make choices of whether or not we're going to be able to buy food,
Yeah.
right? I remember one lady in there got some sort of food stamp assistance, and it was $80 a month, and so I don't know what kind of groceries she's going to buy with $80, but that's with today's grocery prices, that's absurd. So my question is if the criteria for this the raise was based upon a utility hike, and they pay their own utilities, except for water, I believe. I think they pay water. You guys pay everything else, right?
I think, yeah, we
Okay.
pay all
So-
PG&E.
My question is, then what are they giving the increase for? The common areas? Because if they take care of their own utilities in their apartments, then the common areas would be, and then how would they be able to justify? So what's the matrix? Is there a matrix that they use to justify those raises? And so I would like to look into that and then see how they could justify those 28% increases or that, that these poor individuals are going through. Because I agree with Councilmember Johnstone that we have our two most vulnerable and at-risk populations, in my opinion, are the youth and the seniors in our community, right? So we got to do a very good job at protecting the youth, and we got to do a very good job at protecting the seniors and ensuring that they have a certain quality of life, right? So I'm with you, Councilmember Johnstone. I would love to do an inquiry. And also in the future, how do we prevent this from ever happening again if we give a permit to somebody to come in and set up a shop and do business like this? Because if we end up with a bunch of people so many of the folks that came, they're off the streets. They came from homelessness
Right,
into these
exactly.
apartments. So they're going to return to homelessness because the amount of money they're getting is not enough to pay for these rent increases and their utilities and their food and everything else that they have to do. So this is alarming. And it's not on you at all. Not even a little bit. I think you're doing
Not
a
even a
wonderful
little
job.
bit, Amy.
I know, I understand that. Thank you.
So
If I can just put in one
please, go
thing.
ahead.
Go ahead, summarize.
Probably almost a third of the people are widow women that are on fixed incomes. Also, there are people that moved in 4 months ago that their first month's rent, they signed a lease, they give you a packet, it's about this thick, and they don't go over all of it, all the fine print and everything else. And these people are just under this impression that if they sign a year's lease, that amount will stay that way for a year. And they know the California law that says it can be raised up to 10%, okay? My rent, and I've been there 6 months, it's gone up 15%. Now, there are other people that are at least that, some are even higher. because they're set on the amount that they take in. Now, I was a pastor for 20 years. I retired. This is kind of a moral issue, that if you can't take care of the poor, then you're in trouble. And these are not, I've been around homeless people, I ministered to gangs and everything else. These are older people in their 80s that are literally crying. My wife was with somebody, picked her up from the hospital, she's in her 70s, and literally went, she's been there and had 3 rent raises, and then she had the 4th one, opened up the thing, and immediately started crying. Now, when you see that, that is, there's got to be something done. There's got to be something that the city can say, okay, you want to build in our thing, and you want to target 62 and over? Then what are you going to do? What's the blanket that you're going to do? You're going to get tax write-offs. They're going to get tax write-offs and everything for even building this and providing for them. They claim that they're not even HUD. They're not under HUD. They're not under that.
Right.
That's what the manager said. So this is an independent company that it comes out of Portland, Oregon. And we don't even know if they got shell companies and one gets sued, they kind of throw their money into another. And I've seen that happen too.
Mr. Hunt, we're going to, if you'll leave your contact information with the city administrator, the staff will put together some explanation as far as we know it and try to get answers back to you. It's the best
Okay, I
we can do
appreciate
tonight.
that.
You bet.
Yeah, and these guys.
Appreciate your message. Thank you, sir.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Give me your
Yeah,
contact.
leave me your contact info, if you have. All right. Thank you all. Next item is, let me get my thing up here.
Consent calendar.
Consent calendar.
Yes.
Do I hear anyone have items on the consent calendar to pull? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion that we adopt the consent calendar.
I'll second.
No cards on the consent calendar?
And received on the consent calendar.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. Can I just have who repeated the second? Thank you.
Okay, we'll call the roll.
Motion passes unanimously.
All
And
right,
Miss-
regular business.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, we went over the council announcements and reports and the administration
Oh,
reports.
I'm sorry, we did. Council announcements and reports, council members, reports, announcements. I'll make a quick announcement. Thank you all for coming to the State of the City. It was very nice of you to welcome all the students up to the stage and participate in that discussion. Vice Mayor Smith.
Thank you to all of the various agencies that supported the Feather Fiesta Days. I know there was a little bit of disappointment. So the Lord knows what he's doing even when we don't. And so he certainly makes the rain and the sun both shine and the rain fall on the just and the unjust alike, as I think the scripture goes. And so we certainly had our fair share of that on Saturday. But I know there was some conversations on social media. I just briefly want to address that the city is not in the lead or making the decisions on these various events. It's really a conglomeration of various private organizations, nonprofits, that really host and put on Feather Fiesta Days. And so it was really those various organizations coming together and having a collaborative discussion about how to move forward. There was discussion with the city, with fire, police, code enforcement, as to how to move forward in light of National Weather Service issuing high wind warning, storm warnings, and I think we all experienced together as a community what happened on Saturday. And certainly it was probably not good to be out in that weather, given the dangerous lightning and just all of the other incidences. I think so cars actually slid off the road. It was a pretty, with all the hail and whatnot. But so that decision to postpone or even in a couple of cases cancel some of the festivities with Feather Fiesta Days was done again collectively by many voices weighing in and seeking to find the best solution moving forward, and always with public safety at the heart of all of those decisions. Because at the end of the day, whether it's a parade, which all of us love, and it's just something that makes Oroville special. At the same time, we want our kids to be safe and to have a good, pleasurable memory of that event. And so, a lot of just weight went into making that decision, and so the decisions were made again purely based on public safety. And appreciate the mayor weighing in as well, giving voice. But at the end of the day, all these decisions were not in the city's sphere. It was all the various groups that collectively made that decision. And so I just, again, a lot of people voice or have opinions on social media, and we kind of monitor that from afar. And so I think this is just a good opportunity and point in time to address that it wasn't the city. It was all of these organizations coming together and making the decision based on public safety. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Weber's in the queue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say that this coming up Saturday, the 11th, at the airport will be the fly-in, and I think it's going to be a fantastic event. The weather looks like it's going to be about 90 degrees. So from 8 to 3, I want to just encourage everybody to come out there. It's going to be a great opportunity to go out there, and it's going to be a very good community event. I think that Pee Wee's put a ton of effort and time and energy into putting this thing together, and I think it's going to be fantastic. So I'm going to be out there, and I hope to see all you guys out there as well.
Okay. Thank you. Department head reports. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I'm probably the most long-winded tonight. First of all, I'd like to start and thank council for the additional funds that were approved for additional street work. So thank you. Very grateful for that. To start off, I will start with the streets. The street department has put down 152 tons of asphalt in the month of April. For the record, that's a record for Public Works to ever put that much asphalt down in the month of April. So it's unheard of. We haven't done it before, so I'm very proud of our team. We did a great job on it. We're currently out working on Nelson Avenue right now from about 6th Avenue, proceeding west away from the school, doing grinding and replacing, filling in potholes, and we're going to come back and apply a mastic starting early next week. We're going to be out on Nelson for about another week or so, so there's going to be some real improvements out there. As far as the intersection of Nelson, before you guys ask, it should be underway within 60 days roughly. So we're waiting to jump a couple last hoops with Caltrans, and once that's cleared, we'll be running and ready to go. Twist is done with all of their pipeline replacements out there, so we're good to go. Just for further information, other roads that we're looking at working on this summer, Lower Wyandotte, Oro Dam East, 5th Avenue from basically Oro Dam up to downtown, intermittently using mastic and doing pothole patchwork. So we're going to be pretty aggressive with our public works staff on doing that. We've ordered a lot of material. About half that material has already been delivered to our new courtyard. And the mastic machine is actually being delivered this next Monday. So it's going out to Nelson Avenue. So we're going to start really moving. I'm really happy with how things are progressing with the team. It's been a great job. The sewer team, in the month of April, we cleaned or TV'd 130,000 feet of sewer main. They've been very busy. On top of that, they also did 340 USA tickets, which takes a lot of time, on average about an hour a ticket, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on the complexity. Something else that we did this year, which hasn't happened in a number of years, was we treated about 6,800 feet of sewer main with root control, root foam. We went in about a month ago with our rotting machine, cut out the big roots, vacuumed them out, and we sent the chemical in with Duke's foaming. So that's the first time that's happened in several years, probably about 5-6 years. So it's good progress on that front. To that end, we're also setting up a pilot for 3 of our lift stations with some modern equipment that we can see what our lift stations are doing on our telephone and our laptops. That pilot's going to jump off probably about 2 weeks, and from there, we're going to build it out to all 7 of our lift stations where we actually have visibility of what our sewer lift stations are doing. Right now, the only visibility we have is if an alarm goes off and AccuAlarm calls us, or we're actually physically out there.
Gotcha.
So it's really important that we can see what's happening to these lift stations with the close proximity to the river. So very excited about that. Out at the airport, I've got kind of a neat thing. Genco Aviation did hire a person to work out at the desk, and she's the first point of contact at the FBO. She'll be getting training over the next several weeks. Her name is Genevieve. Forgive me, Genevieve, if you're listening. I didn't write her last name down, but she's been there for a couple weeks. And at some point in the very near future, she'll be able to do the fuel truck and load fuel under the wing type stuff. So it's nice little progress there. Just some quick talking points. Last month, Avgas, just regular aviation fuel, we sold 1,544 gallons of fuel. 1,800 of Jet A and 800 of that came off our fuel truck, and we had about 814 takeoff and landings out of our airport. And those were with aircraft with transponders, which means it squawks. You can see it on a radar and you can hear it on the radio. Not all aircrafts have transponders, so that number could actually be a little bit higher than the 814. Cal Oak, it's moving along pretty well. All the new lighting enhancements that we did out there for security around the perimeter and some inside the buildings, that is now complete. All of our high voltage 3-phase services that needed to be abandoned have been completed. Our security system is going through a testing phase with our security guard and AccuAlarm, and hopefully that'll be vetted by the end of this week. So that's moving along quite nicely as well. Let's see. To date, we've roughly spent about $100,000. I don't have the exact dollar, but it's right around $100,000 to date of what we spent out at the new courtyard for infrastructure improvements. I want to make sure you guys are aware that I'm tracking it and we're keeping a close eye on it. Let's see. Highway 162 projects I've been tasked with, and I'm working on it to get photos and construction updates out on our city website. Working with IT to get a button or a portal off the city website so folks can see where the actual construction is going on and the latest and greatest construction photos. So hopefully that's going to be on the website in the next few weeks. So, and I think that is it for me. So I will turn my mic off unless you have a few questions.
Excellent report.
Thank you.
Fred.
Who's up next? Oh, do you have a question, Councilman?
I do,
Yeah,
if you
sorry.
wouldn't mind. Thank you very much. So I've got several notes here. I like to take notes, as you guys know. And note one is I'm so pleased to see our 3-tier paving plan starting to get in motion that this council adopted. And I'm so impressed with the road crew and their abilities. Having paved for 3 seasons when I was very young, I could see that these guys are actually doing an excellent job. Can you give us an update real quick on Washington? Because from what I understand, you guys are going to also be doing Washington. And you're going to be doing like the grinding, paving, mastic, crack sealing, and then I'm hoping you'll also do some new lines and raised delineators between Mitchell and Yard. Is that going to be?
So part of Washington, we're going to wait until school gets out.
Right.
Just to get some of the traffic down. We're looking at grinding out the wheel track, which is where most of the degradation is at on the road.
Yep.
Go back and new asphalt. We're going to do some layers with mastic and some crack sealing. So it's going to be a 3-prong. It's not going to look like a brand new road, but it's with the mastic. It's going to be a it's going to be a myriad of pieces together, and
Yep.
we're going to really focus on from Yard up to Mitchell, I believe, and we'll work on the striping and some of the those
Awesome.
details as well. And I failed to mention, we're going to be doing the same thing on good grief, Nelson Road. We got striping out there that we're going to be doing, and some new bot dots and those type of things. So
Yeah, Nelson was tore up from the
yeah.
school all the way basically to the city limits.
yeah, and we've already done probably close to a half mile of pothole work out there. We started today. There's new message boards out there that we're currently using to.
Good.
So there was a lot of progress out there today. So, and I think they're doing a fantastic job too. So I
So
appreciate that.
if we could kind of summarize the way the roads are going to kind of look after this, are they going to be pretty and perfect? No.
No.
But they're going to be drivable
Yes.
and without potholes all over them, so we could look for funds in the future, like for instance, the Washington project, while we look for this grant money and it's going to be drivable. So
Yes.
that
To answer your question, are they going to be pretty? No. Are they going to be smoother? Much
Yes.
smoother. all the massive potholes and a lot of the
Right.
best we can do with some of the base failures, we're going to make those pieces smoothed out. And in the areas that we're working, where the striping and the legends are affected, we will put new bot dots and more reflective stuff down too. It's going to
that's-
be a pretty big improvement, actually, so.
It
it's-
already is in so many areas.
We're going to eat this elephant one bite
Right.
at a time. That's the best way I can describe it. So, again, I'm trying to underscore the importance of that with how much asphalt we put down in the month of April. We've never done that before. So our team is a little green, and we're getting the bugs worked
No,
out.
it really is impressive. So I have another question. Do you have any idea? I know that Thermalito Water Irrigation District is doing work out there in Nelson. So at Nelson, the freeway right there.
Yes, at the
it's pretty
intersection.
hammered, right? So, and I know that's already the queue to get done, but do you know when they're going to start approximately?
So Thermalito just finished up in the last week or so. I actually met their contractor out there yesterday. There was a lot of gravel on the road. There was a lot of
Yeah.
dust and dirt on the road.
Yep.
They got that squared away. They were going to be doing some asphalt restoration on their patches today, and I believe in
Good.
the next day or so. Again, we're in the queue with Caltrans. We have a couple procedures we have to go through. I'm thinking within the next 60 days, we're going to be out there.
Yeah,
It
that'd be
will
great.
be done by the end of summer.
That'd
no
be
matter
great. And
what.
I'm glad you addressed that because I drove through this morning and that the work they did was rough and there was some large.
It was.
It was rough.
It was.
So I'm glad you addressed that. Also, on just so you guys know, the general public and maybe somebody that might be listening, Oro Dam is actually Caltrans's responsibility. So I know we get a lot of feedback from people saying, "Hey, fix the potholes on Oro Dam." So technically we can't do it. We have to like petition them, and so because I know up on Oro Dam, or excuse me, on Olive Highway, right across the street from the car wash, I think, or near there, there's a large pothole that has taken out 4 tires and wheels in the last week. Is there any way we could put some pressure on, Caltrans to get out there and do some stuff? Because I know we can't do it, although I wish we could, because we could probably strike it a lot faster than they could. But I would really like to get, some of these things done. If we could put that pressure on them to get that done, that'd be awesome. So
I know I've spoken to Caltrans, and I think Fred and I both have spoken on and there is we can put in a ticket request, and I think it just depends on the magnitude of it.
Yes.
But we'll definitely see if we can do something about that particular one. I know they obviously plan on replacing the entire road next year, so it's
I get it.
it's a catch-20. Yeah, it's
I
a
get it, but we
challenge.
need to-
They don't want to invest. I mean, frankly, they're not going to invest a
Right.
ton of money into something that they're going to rip up in the next 12 months. But with that said, we've advocated, well, let's do some things just to make it sure
even
it's
some
safe.
cold patch, man. Something to fill these holes, just something,
I will fill out their form, and I'll get some dimensions on it, take some pictures. If it's not unraveling and it is a bona fide pothole, they should address that. They won't touch the unraveling, which is kind of down by the highway.
Right,
Nelson
I get
Avenue is
that,
another
yeah.
perfect example of what unraveling
No, this is a bona fide
Yeah.
pothole. It's,
Okay. I'll reach out to them tomorrow and see
Yeah.
what we can get going.
I'll go
We'll
make
get
some
that-
cement and then just pour it in there, I'll stand out there and let it dry. What do you think?
I won't
No.
comment on that if you want to stand in the Caltrans
Right.
right away.
All right, that's all I got. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I've got one other piece.
Oh,
I'm
yes,
sorry,
please, go
guys. I
ahead.
feel like this is the Fred show. I haven't been here. I missed the last council, so I'm trying to kind of keep up a little bit. I have one other little item that we did, another little improvement. I'm not sure if the council's noticed it yet, but we found a very low-cost alternative, and we've already made it happen, was the lighting of the Liberty Pole. That project was about $10,000, and it was enough to go through electrical engineering and all that. We came up with the idea of jumping power off our street light, and there's a flood, and the pole is now lit, and it's on a photovoltaic cell, turns off and on all by itself, and it was under half the cost of their original quote.
good.
So we're pretty
Very good.
happy with that as well. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right. I
That's it.
should also mention too, as you look around the council chambers, if you're curious about the visuals on the Washington Street and Table Mountain streets, you can take a look at those before you leave tonight. It's the engineered perceptions right now on what they're working on doing. It's a long-term project. It's a great time to understand what's going on. Okay, out of the department heads, who's up next? Mr. Belser.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just want to share some numbers with you for April. Right now, code enforcement has 261 active cases. That's about twice as much as last month, and that's because we're out doing our fire inspections on properties in the city. We'll do close to 2,500 to 3,000 inspections when it's all said and done. We closed 69 cases and opened up 183 new cases. Towed 17 abandoned vehicles, had 5 building code violations. All of these were stop work notices where contractors are doing construction without a permit. Our City Works team abated 23 locations of graffiti. Again, the cowards are very busy out there on the street, tagging everything that they can tag, and tagging over what we paint as fast as we can paint it. But we are trying our best. We had we opened up 19 cases for issues on multifamily structures and 112 cases for public nuisances. Team's very busy. I emailed you a full report and just to let you know what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good work. Who's up next?
I just want to introduce a new accounting tech. We had 2 openings and we filled 1 position, so we want to welcome Jody Hartley to our team.
Okay.
She's been here a couple weeks and she's turned out to be awesome. So we only have 1 vacancy now.
Well, welcome.
So is she in the audience?
What's that?
Is she in the audience?
No, she's not.
Vice Mayor Smith has a question.
Yeah, this is for our law enforcement, code enforcement, just to maybe help the public. Summer coming, we have a little uptick in some of our unhoused homeless population. Some of them display some mental health challenges. I personally witnessed the other day, actually across from Brian's, there he is, home. This individual was wielding an axe, smashing his own vehicle. He was clearly out of control. So just maybe help, at what point do we step in with intervention on something like that? Because I certainly felt a little uncomfortable in that circumstance. Not so much enough to call. I think that contact was already made, but maybe just some kind of guidance just quickly on that issue or those types of issues.
Well, first of all, sir, anytime there's an incident like that with an unhoused person or really anyone acting in a bizarre manner, when we get called to the scene, the first thing we try to do is determine is a crime taking place. Then we assess if the person is a danger to themselves, a danger to others, or gravely disabled. If they do not meet any of those criteria, I mean, they're not committing a crime or they don't fall into those mental health detainment categories, then what we try to do is essentially we try to find a solution to the problem. Maybe get them in touch with resources or see if we can somehow accommodate them to get where they need to go. In that particular case, I wish someone had called. Someone striking their own vehicle with an axe is certainly a very odd behavior. So, in that case, we would go out, we'd investigate, see what's going on, and then try to, again, assess if there's a crime taking place, if this person needs to be detained for mental health reasons, or if there's some other level of diversion that we can provide this person to get them on their way.
Okay.
Quick question, was this the individual that was parked at the extension of 4th Avenue next to the tennis courts?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So regarding, he lives in his vehicle. It's not against the law to live in your vehicle. He's parked in a public space. As far as the code enforcement end, there's not a lot that can be done there. The vehicle can be tagged. He's allowed to park there for 72 hours. And if the vehicle doesn't move in 72 hours, it can be towed.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And that vehicle was also tagged.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Great. Thank you. Just information. That's good. Thank you.
Well, I think the bottom line message is if you see something in the public and let us know, call somebody. That's the best thing to do because you don't want to approach on your own. There's some people can be very dangerous, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Other departments? Amy? Brian?
I'll just say real quick, at the next council meeting, we are going to be looking for input from the public on the fluoride in Cal water.
Oh, yeah.
So just to put that out to the public,
Yes.
just,
Okay.
that'll be on the next agenda,
Okay.
but other than that, that's all I have.
A good topic, lots of information coming forward. Patrick, anything? Not this week. Okay, all right, thank you, sir. Well, then we'll move on and try the consent calendar again, now that I jumped it.
We're
We did it
consent's
on-
good.
Did
We
it?
go the
Oh,
regular.
well, hey, all right.
Yep, we did it.
Regular business then.
Yeah.
Item number 4, task order number 2, addendum, construction management and material testing services for the Nelson Avenue intersection project. I guess that's going to be Fred?
Fred, yep.
Yes, that is me. So North Star is out there, currently part of the construction management for that project. At some intersection, at some point, the testing of materials was not part of the task order. And we need engineering verification on the materials being tested and vetted for the project, and that's what this task order is for $30,000.
Vice Mayor Smith?
Yeah, just a real quick question, Mr. Mayo, on that. Was that that extra additional engineering triggered because of the work that Thermalito Water District was doing with the larger pipe? Is that what, just kind of curious what triggered that?
No, I believe this is probably more centered around Caltrans and it being by their off-ramps and that type
Okay.
of thing, by their freeway.
All right, thank
Yeah.
you.
Well, it's probably also a good idea after we had the problems with the potholing over on Teb Mountain where the hill dropped down. We had to reopen that ditch and take care of that problem, so
Yes, exactly.
exactly why.
Try to avoid most of those, yes.
Yeah, that's a great idea. All right, any other questions? We have any comment cards on this item?
No, we do not, Mr. Mayor.
I'd entertain a motion.
So moved?
Yeah. I'll second.
I'll second.
Call the roll, please. All right.
No, I didn't. So I'm not sure if everyone heard you, Fred, but you mentioned 30,065 number?
Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds
And
right.
that's what we are
Yes.
voting on.
Sorry, I don't have my book with me in front of me, so I'm flying a little blind. on
All
there,
right,
so.
thank you.
Thank you. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. Next item being is how it's 5:15, we had a public hearing scheduled, but we're at 5:30, so I guess we'll go ahead and open the public hearing at 5:30. And the council will conduct a public hearing considering, dang it, here, excuse me. My council thing has jumped around here. Too many buttons to push. Consider the adoption of the fiscal year 2022, 2023 appropriations limit as stated. Ruth, go ahead.
Good evening again. I just want to let you know that this staff report is to correct an error on a previous appropriation limit. I'm happy to report that this is the only thing the auditors found in their audit. And they said that we can redo the resolution and we won't get a finding, or we could get a finding. And we don't want a finding because that could affect our credit rating. So just an exercise. We're never gonna, well, shouldn't say never, but we're not anywhere near the limit. So we're still under, it didn't affect anything. It's just an exercise to appease our auditors. I'll be coming back with the next year in May or June.
And Ruth, just under Resolution 9250, which we're proposing to vote on, the appropriation limit is hereby established at $47,551,074.
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to state that number for the public to know about. That's where we're at, and we're not there, so.
Yeah.
Good. Any other questions? Any comment cards on this item?
None submitted, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion that we adopt Resolution 9250.
I'll second that.
Call roll, please.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you all. And then we have another public hearing that will begin at 5:30, which is the closeout of the community development grants and project updates. Council will conduct a public hearing relating to the performance of the final accomplishments of Community Development Block Grant CDBG number 20-CDBG-12017 and 20-CDBG 12018, and again 12046 and 12066 and PI 0009 and 0010.
00010.
00010.
Thank you.
Just what the agenda says.
I tried to make this as simple as possible because there's a lot to go over tonight. But good evening, Mayor and council members. Upon completion of any community development block grant approved activity or expenditure, all CDBG funds must show that they're in compliance with state regulations and guidelines. And we've currently entered a phase called the closeout phase of the grant, and there are several activities that we're required to do to verify that the funds have been properly spent and that the city or the subrecipient has complied with all of the rules and requirements that are proposed in the application that we presented to them. Tonight's public hearing is one of those CDBG mandated activities that is required to report on the accomplishments of 6 CDBG grants that have expired or will be expiring soon. I've created a really quick presentation that outlines each grant, subrecipient, activity completed, beneficiary served, and remaining funds, if any, that need to be disencumbered to the state. Kayla's gonna get that for me.
I'm sure this comes as no surprise, but I'm having a technical difficulty, so just one moment, please.
Computers are wonderful things, aren't they?
They're supposed to make life easy.
Yeah.
Almost there. Maybe?
Here's my question. Well, no, I know, because I'm looking, and I'm just curious. What happens to those funds?
Go back to the
I
state.
know it says dissonant, and so that bothers me. There's no other option. I mean, how do you do that?
I can
Use that.
go through it without the PowerPoint if you guys just don't mind listening to me drone on. Okay.
Go ahead, Amy.
Okay. Yes.
I just have a question. So when we have funds that are remaining, for example, the 42,000 from the Y, and it goes back to the state, I mean, it would seem like prior to, we would be able to come to some type of agreement how to disseminate those funds, so there is nothing going back to the state. How do you have a balance of 42,000 when we have so many kids that could really benefit? So have we really done our due diligence to exhaust those funds?
So-
And are they being held accountable?
Well, so
Once
we
they
haven't
leave?
had to disencumber funds previously for public services. They were given at the beginning of the contract. They knew their contract deadline. The budget was set up for the expenditure
Right.
milestone. However, they didn't anticipate the fact that that their last camp was starting on the day that the funds expired, and the state did not allow them to
expend those
to
funds.
expend those funds
yeah.
past the first. So their spring break started on the first, and they were thinking that they would be able to utilize those funds, but that was not the case. I did ask for the consideration, and it was not given. So we've never had to penalize public service before for not utilizing all the funds. That's not something that's ever come up. I am disappointed that they weren't
And that
expended.
and that nobody was keeping watch of timelines. I mean, how do you not know? You know, it's kind of like when people tell me, well, I think, and I say, well, I appreciate your thought process, but I need to know. What do you know?
Right, well, and the
so
funds
that we
are
can avoid this.
also designated first. The way that the YMCA set up their budget was that they were for enrollments for camps. And so there wasn't something else that we could have expended it on prior to that if they didn't have the camp fulfillments before that. So I couldn't have said, you know, do you have any equipment that you need to purchase, or do you have anything? That's not something that I was able to do with the funding.
Thank you, Amy. I
You're welcome.
appreciate
No
it. We know you have stick-to-itiveness, and you are meticulous, and you are a rock star.
Oh, thank you. So, no
So,
luck?
Do you want to continue, Amy, or?
Okay. So I'll try to make this as quick as possible. The first one is the 2020 CDBG 12017. And again, that was the YMCA grant. 35,000 of it was set aside for general administration, which is basically pay my staff and my time for administering the grant and also the whole process of setting it up. And then YMCA was 465,000. They started April 1st of 2021 was the expenditure start date, and they provided camps for spring, summer, fall, winter breaks, after school. They did dodgeball, basketball, swimming, and theater. They had a total of 767 youth that were actually benefited, and that is a large amount of students benefited in that time. Their grant expired April 1st of 2024. So we do have $42,645.04 that we are disencumbering to the state. It'll go back in a fund that will be released for everybody to apply for when in the next, not the next NOFA, but probably after that. The next one is the 2020 CDBG 12018 in the amount of $193,500, and this was for the public service, the Axiom. $179,955 was for the activity, and $13,545 was for general administration. They had a lot of services for their beneficiaries like character competency, safe food certifications, resume building, applications, interview workshops, and vocational job readiness training. There was a total of 311 youth that benefited during their grant term, which began on April 2nd and expired April 1st, and there are no funds to disencumber. The next is 2020-12046 in the amount of $387,500, which was for Catalyst Domestic Violence. Their activity was $360,143, and $27,108 went to general administration. They provide crisis intervention, assistance with temporary restraining orders and custody orders, court accompaniment, group and individual therapy sessions, and also shelter. Their total beneficiaries were 305 victims of domestic violence, which began February 21st, 2021, and expired February 21st, 2024. There's an amount of 3 cents to disencumber. It would take a lot for me to get that 3 cents off there, so I was just like, whatever. The next one was 2000 CDBG 12066 in the amount of $1 million for homeownership assistance. The loan amount was $930,000 to spread to new homeowners. We had 9 of them. $70,000 was for general administration. There were no funds to disencumber, and that grant expires May 12th of this year. Well, I guess next week. 2021 CDBG PI 0009 is $452,000, and the difference with this is CDBG program income. This is funding that we received back on loan payments. Because it's CDBG, we have to follow the same regulations and guidelines as normal grant funding, so it is a standard agreement. But we aren't getting reimbursed for this amount because we have it sitting in our accounts here. $400,000 was to purchase the Type 6 fire engine and $52,000 for general administration. We received that fire engine on March 26th of this year. That grant expires 10/15/2024. There is a remaining balance of $53.81 for the fire engine and 11 cents for general administration. The last grant is 2021 CDBG PI 00010, and this was a planning activity for the housing element update in the amount of $113,000. $100,000 of it was for the actual activity. $13,000 was for general administration. We procured housing tools to assist us with the preparation of the housing element of the general plan, and it was accepted by the state on May 2nd of 2023. This grant expenditure timeline was September 28, 2021, and it expires in September 27, 2024. There is a remaining balance of $12,557.50 that will be disencumbered, and that is because they came in less than what their RFP or their bid was.
Okay.
So that is, that I do have 2 additional grants that I'll be bringing forward in the next couple meetings for closing out. They just weren't at a place where I could report on the activity yet.
Okay.
If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Vice Mayor Smith has a question.
Yeah, I just wanted to add some additional commentary to the question that Councilwoman Goodson was commenting on with the Y and allowing some of those funds to go back to the state. Kind of saw this coming. We had to actually, in the city council, we actually did discuss that there was money that looked like it was going to get left on the table with that organization. But I think in part to their defense, though it bothers me, that's what I was expressing here with Councilwoman Goodson, that happened. That may not have been avoided. I think some of that was because of COVID, potentially, because those dollars were attached to services directly to our children and our community. And I know they were really struggling with that. So, you know, it's unfortunate.
Very true.
Yeah, but I think just to add some, context as well to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any public comments for this public hearing cards?
We do not have any, Mr. Mayor.
Any council member questions? I would then entertain a motion to.
I'll authorize the closeout of the community development block grant for all the numbers that have been stated.
All right, call the roll, please.
Technical difficulty. There it is.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, well, concluding that public hearing, we'll go back to regular city council business. Next item is public communication hearing of non-agenda items. Do we have any cards?
Yes, we do, Mr. Mayor. We'll begin with Brian Williams and follow that with Bobby O.
Okay,
Hello, Mayor. Vice Mayor.
welcome, Brian.
Staff, thank you guys for hearing me. I wanted to kind of let you guys know of the situation that happened outside my house this weekend. We did have an individual. What my understanding is that because Oregon has recriminalized small possessions of drugs, myself and my wife have seen over 6 cars from Oregon in the last 2 weeks arriving in town. And that means that they don't want to get thrown in jail for using drugs. This individual was using drugs in front of our house. He threatened Bobby with a knife and a gun. He was waving his knife inside of his car, smashing his window with it. Later, another day, he obviously brandished a 3-foot-long axe and was violently swinging it and ultimately swung it at his car. I would like to know what the police can do for mental health issues like that. This individual self-proclaimed while police officers were there that he was severely mentally disabled and was claiming that he was a disabled individual. My understanding is that at that point, the police do have a chance to interact with accommodating circumstances that were presented. I understand that the care courts got delayed in Butte County for 2 years, and I think that there would able to have taken this person off the streets as well. So I don't know if there's any pushing of the county that can get them to pick that up in the beginning of 25 and not 26, and that can also give us some more efforts to get this handled. One of the issues that the officers had expressed to me, not just with this individual, but other individuals, when they have to issue 72-hour notices, it would be very nice for the city council to create an ordinance that actually defines how much you have to move that car. The officers were saying that they could literally just roll the car so a rock either falls off the tire or that it's just literally not in the same spot. And that doesn't make the problems go away. And so if you guys could define X amount of feet, our city blocks are about 300 feet, that might be a good start. City of San Diego uses 1/10 of a mile. Santa Cruz uses 1,000 feet. Both those may be a little more than what we need to start, but we need to be able to get the people moving. It may take 3 days, but we need to make sure that they actually move. My street, as compared to the private, non-maintained Arlen Rhine Drive road that's behind my house, that over the 3 years it took to get that road shut down because of a public nuisance, and I know Belzer worked very, very hard to help get that established. Our road is also a public, non-maintained road, and it seems to be attracting those types of elements. I urge the city and maybe Fred to work with Feather River Parks, and maybe the city can actually give Feather River Parks that street. And then that way it could be private property, and then that way the police can show up and enforce laws of private. Thank you guys very, very much for your time.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, I would like to.
Oh, yes. Councilman Whipper, please, yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I like what you were just saying about that, like us defining that. And so I would like to immediately follow up with to get some direction from us. Perhaps we could look into that, how we could define that ordinance, because I think that's a great idea.
I'll second that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Can I mention one last thing that the police officers mentioned to me, and you guys may know this, but this was news to me. Oroville is the only jurisdiction in Butte County that does not have a contract with behavioral health. So our officers do not have a contract to bring somebody that could have came to the scene with them to help assist trying to figure out how to deal with this individual.
Okay,
And
thank you.
so
All right.
I don't know if there's anything that can,
Okay.
Do we not have a mobile unit?
We have access to a crisis unit.
Yeah,
but not contracted like Paradise Chico.
like Chico.
So we might not have
Okay.
available for them. They're just things that I was informed of when the police were there.
We'll get an answer to you, Brian.
Thank you, guys.
You bet.
Thank you. Up next, we have Bobby O.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much, Council, Mr. Mayor. It's been a while. Been very hard at work. It very much pains me to have to come and make the discussion that I'm going to have tonight, but I want to start with a hypothetical. The hypothetical is I've just been diagnosed with severe cancer, okay? I'm told by the doctors that that cancer is going to take my life in a very short amount of time. I leave that doctor's appointment. I get contacted later by a doctor who is the best doctor in the world that says for $100,000 he can make that cancer go away and I can live my natural life and not have to worry about it coming back again. In this hypothetical, right, I'm making decisions and trying to figure out what's best for me. Do I have the money? Do I not? What would I do? Where I'm going with this is right now this city is like my body, right? This is our body, this city, and it's got a cancer in it. A very deep, a very nasty, a very harsh cancer. And it needs to go away. And I have a feeling that in the very near future, y'all are going to be faced with some decisions to make. I've said it many times over a lot of your tenures here, those of you that have been here for quite some time and those who are new now. When things are being brought to you, you have a choice. You have a choice to look at them, to explore them, to investigate them, to see if they're things that need to be handled, or if they're bogus, right? That is your duty. Your duty is to the people of this city. Your duty is to the community that elected you. Your duty is to Oroville. When we have issues that come up that are a cancer to our city, that are a cancer to my money, the taxpayer money, that I'm paying out of pocket for, personal vendettas, gifting of public funds, whatever it may be, that's my money. It needs to change. Y'all are going to be faced with some major decisions, and I hope you do what's right. As you've heard me say before, don't be caught with mud on your face. Y'all know what's going on. You've been presented with the facts. Don't be the ones caught with the mud on your face. Take action. Thank you.
We have any other cards?
That's all I had, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Any other non-agenda items from council? Okay. We'll move, the next item is future agenda items and or correspondence. I'll open the future agenda items. I'll just read the list of correspondence so the public here is aware. We have a letter from the American Silver Dollar Fair, from PG&E, rate increase notification, Palermo Elementary School, 14-day notice of proposed implement developer fees, the fire department monthly report for April 2024, and the annual use of military equipment as defined in the Oroville Municipal Code. Letters are in the correspondence. Any future agenda items from council? Sure, go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I just want to circle back on the preferred local contractor ordinance that we were talking about. And I don't mean to be a squeaky wheel on that, but and then I believe it was last council that the mayor and I were talking about the Light the Bridge project, and we had been working on that.
Right.
After we talked about, the mayor brought up that there might be a bit of a conflict because he is a Rotarian. And so I thought I wanted to bring that back up and then give opportunity for somebody else to second that. So what the idea was to do an in-kind donation to the Light the Bridge project with the Rotary Club. So I wanted to know if anybody else would like to second that, to get that as a future agenda item for you guys to discuss with our budget.
I'll second that.
Okay, because, yeah, the mayor
That
brought
makes
that up.
sense.
but I-
It is a conflict.
Yeah, so, and then, Fred, I wanted to thank you for the work you did with getting that pole lit up too. It's a phenomenal, it looks beautiful. And secondly, the way you did it was incredibly creative. Because the way he did it, just so you guys that don't know, is he actually leveraged the light pole across the street and used an attachment on it. We were looking at digging, basically putting utility to the pole, and it costed a ton of money. And would you kind of just briefly explain how you did that?
Yeah, so we was just taking a look around and realized there was a street light that had the height that we needed that was right across the street from the pole. Obviously, it had existing PG&E utility to it. Looked around, asked a couple contractors, and they came up with, yes, we can jump off the top of the pole. And that avoided us going through, like I mentioned, PG&E engineering for a new pedestal and a new meter, which presented its own problems because it would have been trenching, and also the lights would have been at the base of the pole or potentially a quarter of the way up the pole to avoid vandalism, and it wouldn't have looked very nice in my view. So that's how that came about. What was an easy way where you didn't see the light and went to existing electricity. So
And it was done like in
great.
2 days.
Yeah, it was actually really
fast.
done
cool.
very quickly.
Yeah, so now I'll get on to the reason why that's a future agenda item. So, one, I would like to, I know that Councilmember Thompson and I were talking about putting a big old beautiful flag on that pole. And so I would like to entertain that, like what size flag we could put on that pole. And then secondly, as a addendum to that future agenda item, I would also like to just have a discussion what it looks like to increase the size of this pole out in front of our city council chambers eventually too. And maybe even add a second pole so we can fly the California flag as well. So, thank you.
Sure. And when we were looking at getting the pole lit, that light is sized for a 15 by 25 flag. It's a pretty impressive size flag. So that's the right size for that size of
Okay.
pole. So they're big.
Thank you. Any words, Councilman Goodson? Did you want to speak? All right, any other comments?
Yes, how about that Gateway project? Are we getting back our dollar?
Yeah.
Actually, we had a meeting with the developer, I think it was 2-3 weeks ago, and I think I need to follow up with them because we were promised to get something back within a week or two, and it's been
Yes.
more than that, so.
Okay.
COVID's over.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right, folks, then we're not adjourning the meeting. We have to go back into closed session. So we are now moving back into closed session.
Right. Mendez, he just jerks my chain.
Mr. Darnell.
How y'all doing?
I see the corona. Okay.
Today, by the way. And the fort by myself.
Okay,
Gavel.
we'll reconvene the council meeting. Closed session's concluded, no reportable action to be reported. We'll go for adjournment of this meeting.
Excellent.
So move, adjourn to the next meeting of, can you help me with the date? May 21st, 2020.